idea. I will find him!
You're a breed. Men are brave.
It's not about deserve. It's about what you believe.
Could've just peed on him.
Like brunch. Like, what is brunch?
The story of the Defiance is well known.
What, we some kind of suicide squad?
Heroes don't kill people.
Well, I do.
Martha!
Hello everyone and welcome back to Enter the SnyderVerse, the podcast where we are going through every single movie in the DCEU, only this time we've entered the traitorous era because we are covering The Suicide Squad as directed by the usurper, James Gunn.
Yes,
I'm Kyle, and I am also known as the Eraser, who is a man who has a big pencil eraser in his head. Who's your obscure DC villain, Nathan?
Well, I'm Nathan, and my obscure DC... I am the Condiment Man. The
Condiment King.
The Condiment King, yeah, We already have some royalty in the Suicide Squad, but I guess what's another king gonna do, you know?
Absolutely.
So I just shoot ketchup at you.
I assume he shoots more than ketchup. He shoots other condiments, I assume.
Mustard, brown
what
sauce.
What a gross villain. What were they thinking in the 70s when they came up with that guy? I assume it was the 70s.
It's got to be the 70s is where cocaine really started taking off in creative spaces.
That's like the Silver Age where the villains weren't allowed to do any violent stuff, right?
Yeah, exactly. Who knows, Kyle? Who knows? It sounds like a villain from Spy Kids.
Okay, absolutely. Right, yes, this is the Usurper film. Should we talk a bit about the background of how this film happens?
I think we should, Kyle. Why don't you take the lead on it?
Okay, so at some point, so James Gunn, he did the first two Guardians of the Galaxy movies, and at a certain point, there was a big controversy because some old tweets of James Gunn came out.
I love old tweets.
I love digging out old tweets, and they were racist or anti-Semitic or homophobic. I can't remember which. I
think they were jokes about child abuse.
Is that what it was?
I believe so.
Okay, and this is not like... It wasn't really surprising because James Gunn, in his early works, he was a bit of an edgelord with a lot of his jokes. He did like a series of like, what was it? It was like porn without the porn or something like that.
Yeah.
That's kind of like raunchy jokes like that. So like at the time, him doing the Guardians films was a bit of a swing because it's family friendly Marvel, and he wasn't like a family friendly guy.
It should be noted that he did apologise for these tweets back in 2013 when he got the gig for directing the Guardians of the Galaxy. So this had already been litigated and resolved.
I think we talked about this because we've been podcasting for long enough that this controversy happened while we were doing our podcasts.
It's definitely possible.
Because my memory of this whole thing is it was kind of like a manufactured outrage, and it turned out that the person behind it was kind of like a right-wing weirdo.
I know nothing about that side of things. It's entirely possible, though.
But anyway, all of this resulted in Disney. They were playing it safe, so they immediately fired James Gunn from working on Guardians movies.
Out from under Kevin Feige's head. He wasn't told it was happening.
Yes. And so DC came along and said... I assume what they said was, hey, just make whatever you want for us.
Yeah, they gave him, carte blanche to make any. They gave him the opportunity to make a DC film about any character in the DC canon, any team. Superman was offered to him. He wanted to do the Suicide Squad, which I think got him a little bit of shtick for people being, oh, you can only make goofy team films about B-list characters, But I actually think he's the perfect filmmaker to swing at this, maybe specifically because of Guardians of the Galaxy, because these are characters that you were never going to see in a live-action adaptation.
He's clearly a guy who knows a lot about comic books.
Yeah, absolutely. But he decided that he wanted to try and do the Suicide Squad justice.
And you know what, Nathan? I think he succeeded.
You think he succeeded, Kel? Do you think this is better than Suicide Squad?
Hot take! I think this might be better than 2016 Suicide Squad, yes.
Oh, shut the front door. Okay, yeah, I would agree with you, Kel. This was a really good film. Do you think it's probably one of the better movies we've watched for this show?
Okay, here's the thing. I did like this film. I think there's some elements of this film that were not going to work for me. Like, I'm very sensitive to gore, and this film is quite gory.
Absolutely.
So that element of it was never really going to work for me. But, you know, that's a me problem. That doesn't have anything really to do with the quality of the movie.
That's just a personal taste.
That's a personal taste thing. I think if we're looking at the scope of James Gunn's movies, at least the ones I've seen, I don't think this is better than any of the Guardians movies. I think I prefer those more, which I know you'll disagree with.
I don't actually know. I've watched all 3 Guardians of the Galaxy movies multiple times. This is only my second time watching The Suicide Squad.
Okay, I see.
I think this film's quite quirky, but I think maybe to my personal tastes, a lot of what lifts Guardians of the Galaxy is it's kind of how it plays into the wider MCU canon. Even though I think what a lot of people praise them for traditionally is that they kind of can work as their own little trilogy without any other connections.
Except for the part where Gamora dies in between movies.
I'm also not a big Chris Pratt fan, I'll be honest with you, Kyle. I'm really not a Chris Pratter.
I think the Guardians movies know how to use him.
Yeah, fair enough. I disliked his use in Infinity War when he punched Thanos. But we're getting off on the side tracks here, Kyle. But yeah, I can understand why you would say that you think Guardians of the Galaxy is better than this film.
Yeah, I think this film feels a little... You know that thing where sometimes swearing can actually make a film feel more immature? I think this film has a bit of that, because there's a lot of swearing in this movie.
Yeah, there is. I think that James Gunn decided to really lean into, okay, you want me to have the final say on this? I'll do it. You think I won't?
This is a very James Gunn movie.
Yeah, this is kind of what, as we spoke about Zack Snyder's Justice League last week, this is really what we can see when the creator is just told, do what you like.
Yeah.
Mostly speaking, I don't think this film does play into the wider DCEU, which at this point hadn't been completely jettisoned.
There's some stuff that carries over. It's clearly meant to be set in a pre-established universe, and I think it does kind of function as a sequel to the original.
Oh, yeah, no, it definitely does kind of function like that. Isn't it weird, Kyle, the one film that got a sequel, apart from Wonder Woman, at this point, would have been
It's the Suicide Squad. Yes, it's quite funny, and it definitely would not have happened if not for James Gunn. Definitely
not. It should be noted that after this film, he was rehired at Marvel and Disney to do the third Guardians of the Galaxy film. I know we all know that if you know anything about filmmaking, but just to mention that this did lead to him being rehired.
Yes, and of course now, as we call him the usurper, he is in charge of the DCEU, or the DCU as they're now correctly calling it.
So there's a question for you, Kyle, right?
Uh-huh.
So obviously we're going to watch Peacemaker at one point, which is a sequel show to this film.
I believe
right?
that's next on our list, yes.
Let's hope so, because it's quite a good show. Maybe you might have some weird thoughts about it. But so James Gunn has spoken about how season 2 of Peacemaker is happening, and people are asking, well, is season 1 canon? And indeed, is the Suicide Squad film canon to the DCU, despite it being made under old leadership?
And he said no, right?
Yes, but he kind of gives weird answers.
Yes,
he says that officially the first piece of DCU canon is anything from Creature Commandos going forward. However, if any returning talent from the old era, mainly John Cena, I think, and Viola Davis, Amanda Waller, anything that they have appeared in before Creature Commandos, that all serves as non-committal backstory. So you could infer season 1 of Peacemaker's story to be canon when watching season 2, but if in season 3 they decide to completely contradict anything from season 1, well, it doesn't matter. Right?
Well, Nathan, that sounds horribly convoluted.
It does. But that also leads to certain questions about who is Harley Quinn in the DCU, Kyle, because if this is supposed to be maybe eluded canon, is it Margot Robbie?
Who knows? Yeah, it's, because I can guarantee you that Jared Leto's not going to be the Joker anymore.
What would make you say that, Kyle?
Just a feeling I have, you know.
Just a feeling. It's because he's in the pocket of Big Disney making that new Tron movie.
Making that Morbius money.
Making that Morbius money at Sony, absolutely. Absolutely. So, yeah, this might not be the last time we see these characters, Kyle, which is just something that we should not going forward. You know, we might be talking about John Cena again.
Well, we definitely will, because we're doing Peacemaker. But yes, I know what you mean.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, you know what I mean.
So yeah, the thing about this movie is it really does feel like the first Suicide Squad movie, but done good by someone who's actually given the power to make the movie properly.
Yes, this is kind of why I want to see David Ayer's cut of that film, just to see really what did he mean, you know, when he said that his first film was great, because this is a pretty strong entry. Yeah,
you get your squad of anti-heroes together, you send them on a suicidal mission, and then you deliver their backstory throughout the movie, not just in a big line at the roll at the start.
Like 40 minutes of setup.
Yes.
Yeah. I quite enjoyed right at the beginning of this film, Amanda Waller is wasting no time setting up the premise. And
absolutely. It's
she's
just
like putting chips in people's heads and we're just out on the mission. Here's what we do. Time off your sentence. Exploding chip inside your brain if you don't comply. Let's go.
And we can frame this all through Michael Rooker's character. His little nice little misdirect.
Savant, yeah.
Yeah.
And he meets his team and they do the big slow-mo hero lineup walking shot in front of a big US state flag.
Yeah. And you're like, wait a minute, none of these guys are on the poster of the movie.
Where are these people later on? Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, exactly. We do have some people, though, that will be staying throughout, like Rick Flag and Harley Quinn.
Yes.
So it is a bit of it is definitely a good misdirect.
We have 3 returning squatters from the first movie.
We do.
We've got Harley Quinn, we've got Rick Flag, and we've got Captain Boomerang.
An interesting choice to bring back, wouldn't you say?
I would say so, especially since they immediately kill him off without really much fanfare at all.
I think it does work as a good misdirect because it's a returning character. My audiences might be familiar with him. They actually give him boomerangs to use. They glow blue.
Imagine that.
Yeah, they glow blue. And Harley Quinn actually Margot Robbie does quite a good job at selling that they have some sort of past friendship from the previous movie. She calls him Boomer, which is fun. I think with the time that I think the actress name's Jai Courtney is giving in this film, he does quite a good job with it, and they definitely were showing that they're willing to kill off named actors in this film. You know? Yeah,
I mean, clearly James Gunn just called a bunch of his friends and say, "Hey, do you want to be in this movie for 5 minutes?"
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of returning.
Nathan Fillion, do you want to be in this movie for 5 minutes just to be an idiot whose arms come off?
Yeah, do you want to be the TDK, the Dark Knight, the detachable kid? I have my notes here. The detachable kid is useless.
I mean, it's funny, but what a stupid superpower.
Yeah, what a stupid. And all real characters, Kyle.
Oh, I know.
We also have Javelin.
Yes.
What's his power?
He has a javelin.
Is that his power? Okay.
I think that's his power, yes.
That's his power. And he's Swedish?
Something like, he has like the Swedish colours, so I assume he's Swedish.
Yeah, exactly. We have Mongal.
Yep.
And apparently in the comics, that's quite a big deal character.
Is it? I've never heard of her.
Neither had I, right? But so I'm told. Mongal is a character of note, and then is unceremoniously dismissed in this film. But, you know, this is what happens when you give a creative, you know, an open season to do whatever they like.
We have that man who dates all the ladies. I can't remember his name, but I only know about that guy that he's weirdly dated a lot of super famous people in Hollywood.
Blackguard, Pete Davidson.
Pete Davidson, yes.
Yeah. When I was doing my notes, I was writing all these characters' names because I'm not going to remember any of these people.
No, of course not.
His powers is just, he's another blood sport Rick Flag type.
Guns, yeah.
But he sells them out and then gets his face blown off.
Yes.
Good
I don't
fun.
know what kind of caliber bullets they were using to do that, but
good fun. Yeah, I know, to blow off the face and immediately stop without blowing off the whole head.
Yeah. We have that horrible Weasel.
I hate Weasel. Played by also Sean Gunn.
Of course, who later plays Calendar Man as well.
She's such a weird little, why are you not on Arkham?
You mentioned when we were doing Birds of Prey, like, why isn't Viola Davis going after Harley Quinn?
Yeah.
I think think this movie clearly shows that she's got plenty of options in Bellary for heroes to send out on this squad, you know? She's
That's
not
true.
lacking for options.
That's true, but you still would go after someone that wronged you, you know?
Well, they did catch her eventually.
It did get 4 road rage, Kyle.
Yeah, she must have crashed Black Canary's car.
Yeah, we were doing one line of dialogue to explain why she's in jail for
It's
the
fine.
audience's sake.
You know what I will say, which I really appreciate about this movie?
Yeah.
They bring back Harley Quinn's red and black colour scheme.
Yes, a more traditional look.
Yes, and I think that looks so much better than
You're
the
not-
red and blue.
Not a fan of the candy floss blue.
No, the red and black is it's a much stronger look.
Yeah, no, I would agree. It's definitely a more iconic look. I'd say it's a more iconic look. I think it's a more iconic look to a specific subset of the fans. I think that at this point, in post-2016 Suicide Squad, I would say that arguably there's an even divide where it should be black and red, or black and blue, or red and blue, and red and black.
Yeah, I mean, the red and blue, I think it was popularised by Suicide Squad.
It was,
Yeah.
and then they brought it forward to the animated stuff, and it's what every girl dressed up as for Halloween.
Yes.
I think at this point now, it's just going to be a 50-50 divide in the community of viewers about what they prefer. The
Well, I
Arkham
prefer the
gamers
red and
will
black.
prefer the black one, yeah.
Well, she's even got the red and blue in the game now, I think. So,
Oh, really?
yeah, because remember, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is in the Arkham universe.
Of course it is. Of course it is. That, ladies and gentlemen, a little bit of side knowledge here. I just started playing the Arkham games for the first time ever, and with now having played Arkham Asylum, I'm going to move on to City. It's crazy that Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is in this
It's
universe. I forgot
mental.
Harley Quinn is in that game, and she's also in this game. What is she doing?
It's crazy. When you finish Night, you'll understand even how crazy it is that that game is set in the Arkham universe. But whatever,
Okay.
we're off topic here.
Yeah, we are.
But I guess the idea that there's a Suicide Squad game, arguably maybe because of this movie, is
Yeah.
weird.
Definitely. Suicide Squad's one of those teams that I don't really think the casual audience had heard of until this. So, until
No.
2016's film. So I do think that it's weird that it's been really elevated. I think it's quite a good name though. I enjoy it. The Suicide Squad. It's a fun
Better
name.
than Thunderbolts.
Much better than Thunderbolts. God, sounds like a Captain Scarlet or a Thunderbirds thing.
They don't use the name Suicide Squad. They're Task Force X.
They are Task
Even though that
Force
sounds
X.
like an X-Men thing.
That is an X-Men thing. I believe
Yeah.
in the X-Men there is Task Force X.
Probably some sort of government reign of mutants or whatever.
Yes, exactly. So we kill off basically everyone here on this beachhead pretty immediately. Savant gets his head blown off, which I have in my notes here. He is the Slipknot of this film.
He tries to run away, which I think is it's you know what, fair enough, Michael Rooker.
He likes his bouncy, but he kills a little bird at the start of this film. And then when he gets his head blown off, a little bird.
The bird starts jumping on him and he gets his revenge. Very good.
Exactly. Right, good stuff. This is a heck of an opening, Kel, wouldn't you agree?
I agree. You know what, Nathan establishes what the Suicide Squad is for, which is to die. Which,
Cannon
you know,
fodder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes perfect
Superheroes
sense.
with our cannon fodder, yeah. We then see our second team coming up on the beach, but we're not really introduced to them. They're just pre-set up. And then we
Yes,
go
the
to
B
3
team.
days earlier, Kel.
3 days earlier, as displayed on a toilet seat.
Yep.
Because this movie has a lot of, like, integrated words and subtitles and stuff like
For
that. Which,
for like transitions.
I'll be honest, doesn't always work for me. I think sometimes they're a bit, like, weird.
Yeah,
but
there are a lot of them. You know what I kind of get from this film? I don't know, maybe you'll be unable to comment. I get Quentin Tarantino vibes from this film.
You're going to have to explain what you mean by that.
Something about the colour palette of the film, something about the humour, about the characters sort of just rambling a little bit in the scene, maybe past the point where they should have stopped. There's some feet shots of Margot Robbie.
Oh, there is, yes.
Yeah, there is. The sort of over-the-top gore violence, which I know James Gunn likes his gore, right? But it feels very Tarantino-esque. You know, this ragtag team. I can't quite put it into articulated words, which is my own failing. But for people that are familiar with Tarantino's filmography, think about it next time you watch this film and just kind of... I'm not saying that like it's deliberately an homage. Definitely James Gunn puts more than enough of his own filmmaking, signature into this. It's just little similarities to a Quentin Tarantino film I get here. It's just something I wanted to note. It's not necessarily a critique or anything. So, Kyle, who the fuck is Bloodsport?
Bloodsport is Deadshot.
Okay.
I mean, look, I think I knew this already, but the Deadshot was originally supposed to be in this movie, but, like, they're basically the same character. Like, they make some slight alterations because Idris Elba has, like, a different vibe to him.
Yeah.
And they kind of change the dynamic with his daughter, but he's a guy, he's an assassin, he's really good at shooting guns, he has a daughter. It's all just Will Smith Deadshot from the first movie.
So when this film was announced, or not this film was announced, when Idris Elba's casting was announced, it was advertised as he is joining the team as Deadshot.
Ah, okay.
And then quickly a correction had to be issued that he was playing someone else called Bloodsport.
Uh-huh.
And the thought behind that was, after the horrific mess that was 2016 Suicide Squad, maybe they thought that was Will Smith wants nothing more to do with this world, but maybe he reserves the right to return because of contract stipulations at some point down the line.
I wonder if I was going to say, maybe he regrets it, but this movie wasn't a financial success, was it, because of COVID?
Yeah, I would say, I don't really know how much I would blame this film for that, but yeah, it definitely wasn't the roundhouse kick, knock the doors off the hinges success that maybe they thought they were making.
Mm-hmm.
And for what it's worth, I think had this film come out in 2016, I think it would have been a bigger success.
Yeah, I think there's two issues there. One is obviously it was released during COVID, so did this get a theatrical release or was it straight to streaming?
I feel like I watched it in theatres.
Okay. Would have been masked up though, I assume.
Yeah, or no, you could take your masks off when you sat down, Kyle.
I see, okay, so you can munch on that popcorn. Yeah.
Exactly.
So that would have been part of it. And part of it is the 2016 movie pretty tainted the Suicide Squad brand,
I would say the uneven quality of DC's output probably tainted the brand by this point.
Yeah, because the last theatrical release before this was Wonder Woman 1984. So.
Yeah, exactly, right. We're not doing too good here on the healthy brand recognition front. People hear DC and they go, oh, what a mess. So Bloodsport is just Deadshot, but without Will Smith. Idris Elba, who does a great job. I actually really like Idris Elba in this film.
Oh yeah, he's a really charismatic lead for this movie.
Yeah, he shot Superman with a kryptonite bullet, put him in the ICU.
They did mention that, yeah, and I'm like, sure he did.
Sure he did, right. Where's he getting kryptonite from? Was this a slap in the face to Henry Cavill's Superman kill because he was being difficult?
I mean, they didn't say he killed Superman, he put him in the ICU.
Which is a big slap in the face. You can't kill him. You don't want to kill Superman because that's who would kill Superman, Kyle, in their second film?
I'll be honest, I know nothing about Bloodsport.
I only know that he, after this film, became a Fortnite skin. But you can't take his helmet off because they didn't get the rights to use Idris Elba's face.
Oh, that's quite funny. Especially since his helmet's kind of bad looking. So
yeah, it looks like, I can't tell if the bottom of it is supposed to be like a white skull or if it's his grey beard.
I think it's supposed to be a skull.
It kind of looks like his grey beard.
I don't know.
But yeah,
it's weird.
It's kind of a nothing helmet.
Yeah.
But, if you need sort of a nondescript weapons expert guy and you can't have Deadshot, sure, why not?
I have to imagine this happened just by James Gunn looking through the list of gun guys in DC and we're like, Bloodsport, sure.
Yeah, Bloodsport, right.
Because Deadshot is the gun guy, I would say, in DC. He's the big famous gun guy.
Yeah, the marksman.
Uh-huh.
But he does a perfectly good job and he gets threatened by Waller.
I mean, part of this movie is that all of the characters, with the exception of Harley Quinn, are too obscure for people to have heard of.
Yeah, absolutely. Who the hell had ever heard of Peacemaker before this?
Exactly, yes.
But yeah, so he gets threatened. Amanda Waller threatens to leverage his daughter's upcoming court trial with
They really, really lean into Amanda Waller being a villain in this movie, which I appreciate.
Yes, absolutely. But I think in the last film they also kind of made her seem a bit untouchable. In this film, much more kind of stressed out as a human that's coming apart at the seams.
Yes.
Where she's screaming at the team at the end of the film.
Yes. There's no class to it at all. She's got like drool coming out of her mouth.
Yes.
She's just drilling with rage.
Then she gets knocked out. I'm surprised she didn't kill her team after they knocked her out.
I was thinking that because in the first movie she just shoots all those people in their room. And she doesn't give a crap.
Yes, that's what's happening. That's the benefits of being married to James Gunn, Kyle.
You're taking the big fat guy, he's married to James Gunn.
Well, they're all yes, but James Gunn has multiple concubines.
Oh my.
No, but we know that
how dare James Gunn put his wife in all of these projects?
Oh, I know, absolutely. Industry hack, if you ask me, Kel. I don't care. I totally don't care. It's perfectly fine.
She's a good actor. Who cares?
Yeah, exactly, right. Waller's team, as I mentioned, aren't entirely on board with this sort of leveraging stuff.
But they do have a betting pool for who will live and die between these guys, which
yes,
I thought
so
was funny.
They're morally grey.
Yeah.
They have a Deadpool, if you will.
They do have a Deadpool.
So we start getting introduced to our second team here, because our other team are currently on the beach being absolutely slaughtered.
So we have Peacemaker, as played by John Cena.
Yes, I said, hello, Peacemaker, lead character from Peacemaker. We should say that during all this, Bloodsport is being like a cleaner.
Yes.
He's like washing the toilets with toothbrushes and stuff like that to make it all nice and clean, which is very demeaning work for him.
Mm-hmm.
After Peacemaker, we meet King Shark.
Yep.
And
as played by Sylvester Stallone, right?
I forgot that was Sylvester Stallone. His name came up in the credits, and I was like, who is he again in this film? Yes, King Shark is Sylvester. Great casting. Great. Well caught, Kel. It went right through my head, actually.
King Shark is a very strange character. He's basically this team's Hulk.
Yeah.
But instead of being angry, he's just kind of dopey.
Yes, well, I mean, there's different versions of King Shark, isn't there, where he's like a fancy, but Lady Gaga, he's like a, well-spoken British man. I quite like this take.
I like him too. He, even despite being, I don't know if you'd call it a cannibal, but he does eat people.
Yes.
He does it in a cute way, so.
Much better than Killer Croc. It just sort of threatens people and then
wonder what happened to Killer Croc and who else was still on that team?
Killer Croc detonated the bombs and died.
No, he was around at the end of the movie.
Oh, did he survive? Oh, well.
Yeah, it was what's his face? Eastwood, Scott Eastwood.
Yes, it was Scott Eastwood
with the bombs.
Done that. Yeah.
El Diablo died. Katana, she's got my back. Not this time.
Not this time. You're right, Kel. Not this time. So after we've met King Shark, Kel, who we like, who's great. He's apparently some god. He has another name. What's the other name they call him as the whole film?
I can't remember.
Yeah, something like Maui, but not Maui.
Yeah.
Then we meet Ratcatcher 2 and Sebastian. What do you think of Ratcatcher 2 and Sebastian?
I like Ratcatcher 2.
So do I. I think she's quite a good piece of heart for this film. Yes,
she is very much like the emotional centre of the movie.
Yeah, absolutely. And so is Sebastian. He's the great general.
Yes.
Great
the Ratatouille, yes.
The Ratatouille, yes.
Remy, that's it.
Remy, if you will.
Ratatouille.
Yeah.
Yes. I enjoy that when they walk through the women's section of the prison, all the female prisoners like, look at these hot guys walking through.
An inversion of the male gaze, if you will, Karen.
Absolutely.
As seen in Birds of Prey 2020. Then we come on to perhaps another one, if not the most perplexing member of this film. Polka Dot Man. Polka Dot Man.
I love Polka Dot Man in this movie.
Had you ever heard of Polka Dot Man before this film?
I had heard of Polka Dot Man. Polka Dot Man is in Lego Batman movie.
Oh, right, okay. When that, yes. So I must have heard of him too at that point then, but it's lost knowledge to me.
Polka Dot Man is one of those infamously stupid Batman villains.
Like Condiment King.
Like Condiment King or Kite Man and people like that, yeah.
But this film is able to make him quite unhinged.
Absolutely. He sees his mother everywhere he goes, which is a great visual gag.
They really commit to that gag, don't they?
Yeah.
After having seen Across the Spider-Verse, Kyle, a franchise I know we've never seen, audience, pressure him. There is a character in Across the Spider-Verse called The Spot, who is thought to just be like a joke, like just a street-level thug that wants to be a Thanos-type villain. Mm-hmm. And that film takes many twists and turns, but you actually get to see that power set is actually horrifying. And that's after watching Across the Spider-Verse, Polka Dot Man is a lot more scary. It really is. The Spot and Polka Dot Man. They're using little dots to cause havoc. Scary powers set, Kyle. See,
he just sort of shoots them.
Or he bulges up with them as a rash, then vomits them out his mouth.
Yes. His life seems like torture as hell.
Yes. How did they contain him in jail, Kyle, if his polka dots that vomit out his mouth don't just
they show he
melt?
has like this big collar around him that they say is like a superpower suppressor. So,
So that's a cure for him. He'd be loving it. He probably wouldn't want, because he doesn't join these powers. He doesn't want these powers.
I mean, it doesn't look very pleasant to wear. It's like this massive like metal collar. So.
Yes, true. But he was infected by his mother, hence why he sees his mother everywhere, of a multi-dimensional virus.
I love when they're in the briefing and Bloodsport's like, we're all gonna die. And then deadly serious Polka Dot Man turns to him and goes, I hope so.
Yeah. Like, he really doesn't want to be doing this. He has never really felt like he has a reason to live because his life has just always been suffering, but also maybe too much of a coward to kill himself. But
yes,
also,
that's the impression I get.
Also being very much the moral centre of the film.
I feel like Smart Catcher 2 is the moral center. No, Rick Flag is the moral center of the film.
Yeah, yes, Rick Flag, definitely. But of the superpowered people, because he really takes offence when no one knows who Milton is.
Yes.
Like, he's really grounded. He thinks this is all psychotically crazy. And he's happy when he gets a chance to be a superhero. So, we have our team, Kyle.
Yes, and they're sent to Yara.
They're sent to Yara. They absolutely are, to deal with Project Starfish. And
no one's going to get that reference. We're talking about Far Cry 6 whenever we say Yara.
I have in my notes many times here, Viva Libertad. Yeah, I'm happy we've both got Far Cry 6 references in our notes.
Absolutely.
We're going to a facility on Yara called Jotunheim. Kyle, is this some sort of MCU?
I know. Is Thor going to show up in Valhalla and Mjolnir and
it's other Norse mythical
other Norse
phrases?
words?
So we are introduced to our situation on the ground. We have dictators. We had a benevolent dictator that the US didn't really mind. Turns out they're working with him. And now we have...
There was a violent coup, yes.
Evil generals in charge, played by Giancarlo Esposito. No, not really.
Don't say that.
More Far Cry 6.
He probably will play a DC villain at some point.
Or Marvel one, so who gets to him first?
Did you see an interview with him the other day where, this is totally off topic, but he wants to play Professor X, right? He said that in interviews before.
That's been said for a while, yeah.
He recently said in an interview that he wants to do it, but he doesn't want to sit in the wheelchair the whole time.
Yeah, I did see that as well.
Why are you talking about Giancarlo Esposito? Sit in the wheelchair if you're playing Professor X. That's his whole point.
Yes,
he's in a wheelchair.
Mind over body.
Yes.
I would say, though, James McAvoy did a hell of a good job dodging that wheelchair for a lot of his time in those films. He did use the wheelchair. He did use it. But they sort of had the trade-off where we can give you a cure for your legs, but you lose your brain powers.
Right, I see. Okay.
So you kind of had to... Have you seen those films?
I've not seen those
That's
films.
our next show.
I was genuinely thinking that, because then we can call the podcast Enter the X-Verse, and the X-Verse can stand for anything after that.
Oh, how wonderfully non-descriptive. It's just like name not included.
Absolutely.
It's how you don't commit to a name. You go for algebraic methods.
Absolutely. Substitute the X.
Substitute the X. So, we can discuss this, ladies and gentlemen. That might have been an exclusive. We are introduced to the villain that's working for the evil dictators. Doctor Who.
12th Doctor, baby.
Yeah. Peter Capaldi. The Thinker. Have you ever heard of The Thinker before? I'd never heard of The Thinker.
I've not heard of The Thinker before. I love his design, though, because when you first meet him, he's just wearing a tracksuit.
Yeah, he's very someone that's not... He's not a professional. He's like a fierce intellect that doesn't care.
Just has a bunch of stuff stuck in his head.
To increase his brain
capacity. You can tell that Peter Capaldi is having a blast playing this character. Yes,
he likes working with James Gunn.
And this is what I'm saying. We need to get Jodie Whittaker cast as a supervillain at some point.
But for why? Do you think old ex-Doctor Who's should play villains? We've had
because
Christopher Eccleston
in Thor. In Thor.
David Tennant is the Purple Man.
Is the Purple Man and
Matt Smith and Morbius.
Yes.
Peter
And then
Capaldi's
Peter Capaldi's the
Thinker.
Thinker. So yeah, we have a trend to keep up now.
We do have a trend to keep up, I suppose you're right. And all of them in different universes. Well, maybe
Yeah,
David Tennant's now in the same universe now because
Yeah.
Netflix might be canon to the MCU.
I mean, they did say it is. So.
Yes, that's true. I just want to see how much they commit to that when everything starts releasing.
You could even add in John Hurt because he was the villain in V for Vendetta, right? That's a comic book property.
You're right. You're damn right. Slaps thigh, Kyle. Well done. Well done. Absolutely. Jodie Whittaker, get your agent on the phone. Got some calls to make.
Sure, we can find a villain for Jodie Whittaker.
Absolutely.
There's got to be one somewhere.
We don't have a. Oh, I was going to name someone, but then I realised that I don't think she would be a good Poison Ivy or Catwoman. Sorry. My canon of DC villains that are female are awfully limited. She could play Granny Goodness. Bring her back. She's
not
Zack
that.
Snyder's
She could
Justice
play.
League.
She could play an interesting Emma Frost, maybe.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That'd be interesting, actually. Yeah, encased in diamond.
Anyway, we're off topic again. The Thinker, Peter Capaldi.
Yes, the thing. Peter
So
Capaldi.
many big names in this movie that just show up.
James Gunn, I think, has a certain level of cachet. He can get whoever he wants.
I think what it comes down to is that people like working with James Gunn. Seems to be the general vibe.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think this is the first time, though, for people like Peter Capaldi. I don't think he'd ever worked with him before.
Yeah, that's true.
I probably know for a fact Peter Capaldi knows nothing about the source material. He just thought it was a fun part. I can't
Absolutely.
even really remember him having a powerful appearance in the press junket. I think he also had the stipulation that he doesn't need to do much press. He did do press, but I just can't remember him much.
Yeah, I mean, is Peter Capaldi a name draw in America? I think he's mainly just a name draw in the UK, right?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, Doctor Who's getting big now, you know. It's possible that more people know him. Definitely a bigger name in the UK, though. That goes without question.
Is he doing an accent in this film? Because I feel like at the start he's doing an English accent and then halfway through he just drops it.
Yeah, I thought that too. I think Peter Capaldi's somebody that kind of speaks with like a Scottish accent that's been trained in London.
Right, okay.
That is an accent where people sort of pronounce their words a little bit more, where maybe they kind of hide the accent. You've told me before, Kyle, off the show, that I sound more Scottish when I speak to my local Scottish friends.
Yes, you do.
That's not to say that I don't sound Scottish when speaking to you. I just sound more Scottish when I'm speaking to other people. Now,
You sound a bit posher when you're talking to me.
Is it possible that's what Peter Capaldi is doing?
Maybe, and then when he gets angry, the character gets angry, he just drops it.
Yeah, he just drops it, absolutely. He just becomes a psychopath. Completely. I want to ask you, what do you think about Bloodsport's weapons, Kyle? He nanotechnology, Kyle. Nanotech. Out of his armour.
Okay.
He just starts taking bits off and they assemble guns.
I don't really understand how it works, but I do think it looks cool.
So, it's like he has bronze armour-clad parts on, like on the belt, on the chest piece, and he takes
Yes.
bits off of like the black padding underneath, because at the end of the film he has no more bits left to assemble guns with. So it's clearly those are the parts that seem to be like nanotechnology to like create
Yeah,
big
but
guns.
the
out of
movie
nothing.
never establishes like where he got these, because he seems to just be a normal man.
Yeah, well, he says he used to be part of like special forces with Rick Flag. He knows Rick Flag apparently. It was Rick Flag that
Yes.
recommended him to lead the second team.
But you know, how did he get nanotech guns?
The government black site. It doesn't matter.
Okay, sure.
He's put Superman in the ICU with the kryptonite bullet. That's all that matters.
I will say, I love the costume design in this movie, which we haven't really talked about yet,
We haven't.
because the costume design varies wildly. Like, Bloodsport's costume, I would say, feels like a sort of typical MCU superhero type costume.
Yeah.
And then you get right next to him Peacemaker, who looks like he's from the 50s,
Yeah.
with these bright colours and this big stupid helmet.
With his little yellow dove on his chest.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. What we haven't really spoke much about Peacemaker. What do you think?
John Cena is very funny.
He's a very good actor, isn't he? For comedic beats.
Yes. I think the character, I'm curious to see the show, because I think he's a strange character to base a show around, because he's not a very relatable protagonist.
Yeah, but he loves liberty so much he'll kill anyone for it.
He's talking to, it's like, I've loved peace so much, I'm willing to kill anyone who gets in the way of it.
Good for him. Good for him. He's got a bit. He's got a theme. He commits to the theme, Kyle.
Yes. Makes him very easy to manipulate, it does.
Absolutely, it does. Absolutely. It's almost like there's some subtext to this character, Kyle.
I don't know what you're talking about, Nathan. Are you suggesting this movie might have some anti-American themes in it?
No, balderdash, Kyle, how dare you? Of course not. Of course not. In fact, Kyle, I would tell you in response to that to eat a bag full of dicks. On a beach full of dicks.
Maybe a full beach.
A full beach, potentially, yes. Very much James Gunn dialogue.
Yeah, that's the most James Gunn dialogue in the whole movie there.
Very much. He would totally have this dialogue in Guardians of the Galaxy if Marvel would let him.
Yeah, I can picture Star-Lord saying basically exactly the same thing.
Exactly, yeah, to like Drax or someone on...
Drax, yes.
Yeah, precisely, right? We both have the exact same idea. Javelin, as he dies, gives Harley his javelin for some reason.
Yes.
And she doesn't understand why and starts slapping his dead body to get the information out of him.
Good bit.
Good bit.
The use of Harley Quinn in this movie is quite interesting, I think. Because she spends most of the film away from the team.
I think it's quite refreshing to see the character actually be part of the team and not trying to be a lead. Yeah,
I mean, she is the lead in Birds of Prey, as we talked about.
Yes, absolutely. But I would say that there was like a focus on her, especially in Suicide Squad 2016. Her and Will Smith are like the two revolving pieces of that film.
Yeah, whereas in this film it's very much Bloodsport and Ratcatcher too.
Absolutely. I would even say Rick Flag and Peacemaker also have their back and forths, you know?
Yes.
Though, indeed, so does Bloodsport and Peacemaker, you know?
Mm-hmm. I know what you're saying. I mean, I think Harley Quinn definitely still gets her moments. She has another breaking out of prison action sequence, just like in Birds of Prey.
Yes, absolutely.
Slightly more lethal this time.
Much more lethal, except she has animated flowers and little cartoon birds flying around her.
She does. It's a bit weird because nothing like that really happens in the rest of the movie.
Yeah, nothing. It's just one offbeat creative moment. Yeah, absolutely.
But I do love that this part of the movie is this dictator guy. He wants to marry Harley Quinn.
Silvio, yes.
And in one straight sequence, we have this like falling in love montage. He proposes, they have a sex scene, and then Harley Quinn shoots him.
Yes, and says, you know, if you don't like someone, why don't you just leave? Why do you have to shoot him? You go, well, because I like your head like this, empty. You're much prettier like this.
She's like, I've learned. She's learned lessons from the previous movie. She's learned better taste in men.
Apparently so, yes, But we now have a new dictator who is played by an actor who plays the exact same character in Quantum of Solace in 2008.
Yeah, evil general man. Evil general man. I
promise you, watch Quantum of Solace. He's in it. He's the exact same character, except on a James Bond skin.
That the whole like foreign dictatorship element of this movie is really superfluous, I think.
Yeah, if anything, it should just be infiltrate the country, go to Jotunheim. But it's to pad it. We have a fun scene in a nightclub, Kyle, where everyone's drinking and dancing.
We do have a fun scene in a nightclub.
I like the little minibus they drive around in.
Yes.
King Shark's learning some Spanish. She likes watching the lights pass by outside the window. It's a gorgeous little shot. Bloodsport calls Peacemaker Pissmaker, and then Peacemaker calls Bloodsport Inspector Gadget. Good little bits. We're doing quips here. They're all having drinks, they're dancing, Rick Flag's bonding.
Yeah, this is also when we get nice moments where they sort of talk about their backstories with each other.
Yes, Bloodsport's wearing his nice little beret, yeah.
I think I really like the relationship between Bloodsport and Ratcatcher too, how they have this sort of surrogate dad and daughter thing going on. I think that really works for the movie.
It does. I think it does work for the movie's benefit.
And I think we both liked Rick Flag in the first movie, but I really like Rick Flag in this movie.
Yeah.
I think he's really charismatic.
I think that the reason we liked him in the first film is because the other characters were kind of not likeable.
Yeah, potentially.
But in this film, he's actively likeable. I like his yellow t-shirt with his little bunny rabbit holding up a sign on it. I don't know what the sign says.
Yeah, and I was very sad when Rick Flag died.
Yeah, in that fight, I honestly didn't know who they would kill, because John Cena could just be a one and done for this film. Because they hadn't announced a TV show at this point. So he would have been a good sort of team member to kill off in the third act, I thought, because Rick Flag, of course you won't kill Rick Flag.
They kind of also kill off Peacemaker and then just reveal that he didn't actually die.
Yes, you're right, but that's to give Bloodsport his, team leader
hero
moment,
yeah.
Because I do have my notes here, after Rick Flag dies, Bloodsport will be playing the role of Rick Flag for the remainder of this film,
Yeah, I think it's such a great little character conflict moment though, because in saying that, Rick Flag in the first movie watched Amanda Waller shoot a bunch of people in the head for no reason.
Yep.
And I feel like this Rick Flag would have just shot Amanda Waller at that point, because he seems more noble than that.
Yeah, he wants to tell the press, Kyle.
Yes.
As he finds out that Project Starro was also funded by the US.
What? No, but that would imply that the American government did something wrong, Nathan.
Okay, as I said earlier, I invite you to eat a beach full of dicks. I don't like this line of thought that you're saying here. Of course, they had nothing to do with it. And this is what Peacemaker's here to do. He's a secret mission, Kyle. We jumped completely past the clubbing scene that I wanted to talk about. Where
sorry, talk more about the
Polka Dot
scene.
Man sees his mum everywhere on the dance floor. Good visual gag. I just thought it was nice to see them all actually bonding, and the minibus stuff where they're talking and bonding. I think I mentioned in my notes here, in a worse film, I would be wondering why we're wasting time in this nightclub.
It's like the bar scene in the first Suicide Squad, but good.
But good, yeah, exactly, but good. So, yeah, why don't we just jump back to where we were then? The nightclub scene is fairly superfluous, but enjoyable. Peacemaker has a secret mission, and that is to destroy the data inside the base.
It's not really a secret mission. That was always their mission. It's just that he seems to have already been aware that the American government was involved, and that Rick Flag might try and stop it. I think the movie never says this, but to me the movie implies that Amanda Waller would be pretty okay if Rick Flag died at this point.
Yeah, I would say so too. Right, Amanda Waller wouldn't let Rick Flag go off mission. If anything, I'm surprised she didn't put a secret chip in his head. Yeah,
so I think the movie kind of, and this is kind of subtextual, but that Rick Flag is becoming a what's the word I'm looking for?
A good old boy?
Yeah, he's becoming a problem for this team because he's too noble, and that doesn't go well with her, just let them all die thing.
I think on the face of it, though, Amanda Waller does need someone there that won't just let the team completely go off mission. He will keep them on mission until that mission interferes with his own moral compass.
Yeah, but I think she's kind of setting up Bloodsport to replace him.
Yeah,
in that role.
I would agree.
Because she has more leverage over Bloodsport.
Definitely does. Only for this one case, though. When this case is dismissed and she stays out of trouble, then we're back on track,
But of course, she was manipulating Rick Flag with June Moon, who doesn't make an appearance in this movie.
Yes, what happened to June Moon, Kyle?
Who's going to tell June Moon that Rick Flag is dead?
That's in the other Snyder cut. Zack Snyder had a cut of this film too.
Yeah, no, it's good having your two heroes fight. This is how you do it, because you're like, who's gonna win?
Gene Roddenberry was wrong when he didn't want interpersonal character conflict.
I agree.
I love the camera shot going round Peacemaker's toilet bowl helmet on the floor with the camera edited out, seeing the fight. I think it's really creative. Really good fight. And then we get...
I love Rick Flag's final line, where he's just like, Peacemaker, what a joke.
What a joke, yeah, exactly, right? I'm a fan of the smaller bullets line coming back around.
Yes.
Bloodsport.
Great callback.
Yep, Bloodsport drops down, and they have a hip fire, a standoff, quickest, fastest gun in the West kind of moment, and they're both fast guns, but one has smaller bullets. Great visual, yes. Watching that bullet just shatter through Peacemaker's large... Peacemaker's got a great big comedy-sized gun, doesn't he?
Absolutely.
Great gun. And gets him right in the neck. Saves Ratcatcher to his life. That brings that story kind of full circle, almost. Mm-hmm. Comes back around again near the end. Because we're not at the end of this film, are we, Kyle? Destroying the facility, the Thinker's dead, was taken away by Starro.
Well, yeah, we haven't even mentioned Starro yet.
Yeah, I mentioned Project Starfish earlier on, but you're correct, yeah. So in Jotunheim, there is a massive intergalactic being that has been captured by the government.
Yes. It's a big starfish with an eye in the middle of it. It looks ridiculous.
A Justice League villain, Kyle. Starro.
It is a Justice League villain, yes.
And it was quite brave, I think, of James Gunn to decide to adapt this to the Suicide Squad, because how do you plausibly make the Suicide Squad able to fight this? 2016 Suicide Squad couldn't have fought this.
I think it's brilliant, because, we were never in a million years going to get a Justice League movie where they get to Starro, right? It's never going to happen. There's so many more important villains for the Justice League to fight before we get to Starro.
Marvel might have gotten there, but DC never would get there. That was their track record at the moment, anyway. We get a title card I quite like, and it's just the Suicide Squad versus Starro the Conqueror.
To be fair, is it any less ridiculous than them fighting Enchantress at the end of the first movie?
In terms of like feasibility to defeat, it's not any less ridiculous, but I think this film leans into its kind of nature, and Starro's a giant starfish and just visually looks great.
I did have a question about this, which is when Starro first escapes and he's latching his starfish, which they lean into the body horror of those starfish, by the way.
Yes, so ripping off the faces and what such.
Yeah, where you see when they're doing experiments where you just can't remove them because underneath it's just like there's nothing left.
Yes, you see that someone that's cut in half is still alive because the starfish is on the face. But this is the people underneath it aren't actually alive, but the body can still function.
So when Starro first escapes, he takes over all of the soldiers that are around, and the Suicide Squad manage to escape this by just covering their face.
Yes.
And then Starro doesn't kill them? Why doesn't Starro try and attack them at that point?
I think he's trying to like just stay out of my way. Like, I guess he could kill them, but I guess he also doesn't really think they're a threat. He's like a Borg, Kyle.
Is that it?
Yeah.
I feel like, okay, sure.
Because he's like, this is my city, stay out of my way, you know? I don't know how he knows what a city is. Maybe Starro, the home planet, has lots of cities.
I assume he absorbs the knowledge of the people he kind of takes over.
Okay, that would make sense. I would grant you that.
Because there is a line about how it grows stronger with the more people it absorbs.
Yes.
So
we get King Shark finding nom-noms. Because King Shark quite scary in combat mode in this film.
Yes. Like, he has this team's Hulk. He's basically immortal.
Yes, he is basically immortal. Because apparently he's some demigod, maybe.
Yes.
He's that other name that we haven't been using.
The descendant of a shark god of some variety.
Of some variety. And he runs and starts just biting chunks out of Starro's leg. And then Polka Dot Man gets his big hero moment. And he sees his mother in the sky just destroying buildings like a big kaiju. That visual gag pays off in that moment. And he like destroys one of Starro's fins, starfish legs. I don't know how you...
I don't know what you call them either.
Yeah.
Starfish limbs.
I think a fun visual would have been to see Starro cartwheeling around.
They kind of show that a little bit.
Kind of. I do quite also just like it though, kind of walking on like two legs, because that's definitely the more kind of kaiju-esque sort of vibe. I do have in my notes here, Miss Waller, we have a kaiju up in this shit.
It's such a great Amanda Waller moment where she's like, "That's none of my business. You destroyed the files, right?"
Yeah, she's like, "You have got rid of US liability, and frankly, foreign destabilization is probably going to help US interests. So let's just leave it. Maybe the Justice League will fix it."
Like, it's the same beat that happens in the first movie, but it's just so much better done, where they decide to be the heroes anyway.
Yep.
Because, like, this exact moment happens in Suicide Squad 2016, but it just sort of happens for no reason.
Yep. Absolutely.
Whereas in this movie,
you would say that Amanda Waller in that film was no position to kill them, though, at that point, you know?
No, that's true. It's just a bit, because he starts to walk away and he's like, fuck, I have a conscience now.
Yes. I think, though, they're so lucky that Amanda Waller didn't just kill them, because she totally would have.
I mean, she was about to. It's the team saved them.
Yeah, no, absolutely, yeah. So they're so lucky. So in my notes here, they're so lucky Waller's team stepped in to knock her out.
Yeah.
Because, you know, at least in the first Suicide Squad film, to their credit, they're choosing to be a hero, but they have no negative retribution if they decide to not, apart from maybe the end of the world.
Well, at that point, Flag has already disabled their bombs, right?
Yes, he's like, you can just go do what you like, yeah. In this film, though, they're kind of... They know Waller will kill them. They're doing this almost as just like as a protest. They're not doing it to save the day. Yeah. They're so lucky though that Waller's team stepped in to let them do the film. I
think this movie has like the underline of this movie is like these characters. They're not really like villains in the traditional sense. They're victims of circumstance. Like Bloodsport talks about his abusive dad, right?
Why he's scared of rats?
Why he's scared of rats. Ratcatcher 2 talks about like how she like grew up dirt poor in like the sewers.
Yes,
basically.
That comes from again. Ratcatcher 1, Taika Waititi.
He is Taika Waititi, yes.
What a nice little quirk of filmmakers being friends.
So yeah, like I mean, we don't really get into Peacemaker's backstory.
That's for the show, Kyle.
he's not part of this team at the end, right?
Yeah,
And
no.
obviously, Polka Dot Man's backstory is horrible as well. So
He dies by being flattened by Starro, right?
he does. He gets squished.
Yeah, he gets squished. F in the chat.
I think this movie does a good job of making who lives somewhat random.
Yes, I would say that, because there's no reason that Polka Dot Man would die and King Shark would live, you know?
Well, King Shark would live because he's basically immortal, but
Well, yeah, but you could write it in such a way that Starro is overpowering, you know?
yeah. But yeah, that works as the emotional core of this movie, that, like, they're villains not because they're evil, just because they've been forced into this situation, and at the end of the day, they do want to do the right thing.
Yes, Mm-hmm. I would agree. I don't know. I would say that Bloodsport definitely was a through and through villain before this film began.
I don't know. He was a mercenary. I don't know if that counts as being a full-on villain.
I don't know. Because he wasn't very annoyed that his daughter got arrested. He was annoyed that she got caught stealing a stupid thing.
Yeah, well, I mean, maybe the laws aren't always right.
He goes on a journey, definitely. I wouldn't say by the end of the film he's a villain.
I mean, he's still a criminal by the end of the movie.
Yes, he is still a criminal. He just ain't a villain.
Because maybe this movie has some things to say about the US legal system. I don't know, maybe.
Kyle, bag of dicks. We've been here, right? And what we come back round to here at the end for Starro, Kyle? Harley Quinn and Javelin's javelin that she was given earlier in the film. She gets to the top of a building and she does a big run and jump. And
She should have kept that javelin afterwards. She's really good with it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a really well made javelin. Good quality javelin. Good for you, whoever.
I mean, you see it and it's got, like, I assume this is basically like a Mjolnir type javelin, right? It seems magical in nature.
I don't know if it's magical. I imagine anyone can pick it up. Because when she...
Well, just because anyone can pick it up doesn't mean it's not magical.
Yeah, true. Maybe it isn't imbued with magical powers. It's a very nice piece of kit, though. She does the big run, the big jump, goes right through the eye, such a clean way. Like, I bet a missile would just explode on the surface and not penetrate that eye layer.
For some reason, I thought the eye popped. Like, in my memory of seeing clips of this movie, I thought the eye, like, pops at some point, but it doesn't.
No, it
Instead,
doesn't.
it kind of fills with blood.
Yeah, it fills with blood because the rats get inside, because Ratcatcher's using her wand to summon an army of rats led by General Sebastian.
I have this in my notes. Rats are swarming a big starfish, and I'm feeling emotions. It's just such, like, when you look at it, it's just like, what's happening on screen?
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. But
It works.
in the movie, it's this big, like, emotional climactic moment, and it just really works.
Tremendous moment in the film, Kyle. I think we could both agree. So before Starro dies, Kyle, some of his little Starfish men acolytes still have some parting words to say.
It's the general, actually.
Yeah, it's the general. Yeah,
character.
you're correct. And he says, "I was happy floating in space."
Yes.
So maybe Starro isn't even necessarily a villain. He's just too alien
they're-
for his own good.
The through line of this movie is that there's no true villains, really, except for the US government.
Except for the US government. And corrupt dictators, Kyle.
Yes.
And Gus Fring.
I guess the Thinker's a pretty big villain as well, to be honest.
He
He doesn't really have any redeeming
He's
qualities.
on the side of the dictator, right? So that's fine.
Yeah.
You know? But none of the people that are, like, in the middle being combatants are.
Yeah, they're victims of circumstance. And then we get a happy ending when they use the fails to blackmail Amanda Waller into giving them their freedom.
I'm again shocked she didn't kill her team.
Yeah, me too.
Because in their post-credit scene, Kyle, they are sent on, like, the side gig to be Peacemaker's handlers, aren't they?
Yes. I assume they're both major characters in the Peacemaker show.
They are both major characters. There's other team members as well that aren't in this film. The cast definitely fills out for the Peacemaker show.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So that's it, Kyle. That was the Suicide Squad. We should also note Weasel survived.
Oh yeah, because he's going to be in Creature Commandos, right?
Yeah, he is. Shame.
Yay.
Yeah. Yay.
It's a shame too, because the joke where he dies is really funny, where they're like doing this dramatic dive into the ocean, and then he just can't swim and just drowns. And it's just a perfect demonstration of how expendable these people are.
Yes, I mean, I don't think this undercuts that at all, because all that still definitely happened.
Yeah, and all of them still blew up. So
Yeah, completely right. He got up and ran away to terrorize this island because there's no way he knows how to get on a plane.
I mean, they mentioned that he eats children.
Yeah,
so.
he's murdered 28 kids or something like that. So Creature Commandos will be our next big outing for the Suicide Squad, even though it's not the Suicide Squad. But
and I will say, you talked about why doesn't Harley Quinn just kill Cassandra Cain? She specifically says in this movie that she doesn't condone child murder. Okay.
Yes, that a good little writing catching point there.
I think this movie is pretty consistent with her characterization in Birds of Prey.
I wouldn't necessarily say it's not either, Kyle. I don't really have an issue with any of that. I think that she's used very well in this film. I wonder if this will be the last time we see her, or if they will keep her for James Gunn's DCU. Because I think that anything from this film and Peacemaker is completely fair game for him to bring back. That's my opinion.
I can see why they would, because she's very good in the role. I can also see, I don't know, because they want this to be an established DC universe already, right? Because Batman's already going to have a kid and all of that stuff.
Yeah, James Gunn also mentioned that Superman is not an origin story film.
Yeah, so it would make sense if they have a pre-established Harley Quinn, because I was going to say they might want to cast someone younger, but if it's a pre-established universe, they don't need to.
Something that I think will completely bust continuity and make James Gunn's universe absolutely worthless, Kyle, is that Nathan Fillion is the detachable kid and also Guy Gardner, the Green Lantern.
Literally unwatchable.
Literally 0 out of 10. Worst decision ever. People that are doing hashtag that they run with Gunn don't know what you're talking about.
I wish someone would give Nathan Fillion a major actual leading star in these movies. Nathan Fillion's really good, and he always just plays like these minor side characters.
I think that the consensus is he's just too old now to lead these things.
Who cares? Just cast him as like an older character.
Like an older Ben Affleck Batman that kills people. I agree, Kyle.
Exactly.
I agree. I completely agree.
Not a Batman who kills people. But...
Who do you think he would be good as, Kyle?
Well, that's the thing. I don't know. But I just think he should be someone. I really like Nathan Fillion. Kyle. He's going to have a silly orange wig on. I don't know.
We'll see. Because I don't think they're going to... They could be playing him for jokes. I hope they don't.
Remember when he showed up in Guardians 3 and he was just some dude in a big silly costume?
Yeah, James Gunn likes to work with returning talent, you know?
Anyway, this is a good movie.
This is a good movie, Kyle.
I know we joke about this, him being the usurper and stuff, but I think this gives me confidence for the DCU because James Gunn is a talented filmmaker.
Yes.
And I don't think Superman will be anything like this movie.
No, it just can't be. It absolutely can't. I think the Twitter discourse is... Everyone is completely disconnected from just reality in that chat. The DC community is just so fractured that it's insane. Like these people are all terminally online. Even the Snyder people, the Snyder cultists and the James Gunn fanatics, all of them are just so unhinged, like it's crazy. And I happen to think that this
is why I stopped using Twitter, Nathan.
Yeah. I mean, as I believe I've mentioned on the show before, you have made the correct decision. But I stay in the trenches.
I count on you to keep me updated, Nathan.
I think I do a good job at it. But going forward... Everything from this film and Peacemaker, I think, is complete fair game. So we might see it again.
Well, we've got quite a few movies left, and I would say we're officially entering, like, the...
late stage?
The DC EU is dead now stage, and all these movies are, like, the zombie films to come up.
Yeah, everything that's sort of on the conveyor belt after, like, the production stopped.
Yeah, because I feel like at this point, most people knew the DC EU was done, right? Because even this movie was definitely a turning point where people were like, is this a new continuity? ?
Yeah, I mean, I think that probably more so happened after the Batman, because that was the next big Elseworld story. Whereas Harley Quinn was returning, Amanda Waller, which are all, again, it's no mistake, Kyle, that James Gunn done this and then got the top job at DC over Dwayne Johnson for Black Adam, right?
Oh, I can't wait to get to Black Adam.
It'll have a great time. I think we have, this is one of the prevailing visions for DC going forward, and I don't even know if they knew they were going to do a complete reboot at this point, but it did become clear that they would have to eventually.
The writing was on the wall.
The writing was on the wall that they had to do something But Walter Hamada, I don't believe, had announced stepping down when this film came out, so we were continuing on. We had the green lighting of films like, Shazam 2 and Black Adam.
Mm-hmm.
So, we'll get there when we get there, Kel. Why don't you ring us out? What are we watching next week?
Well, next time we're staying on the same character, which I think is a first for this entire series.
Oh, yeah.
No, Man of Steel to Batman v Superman. That's the same character.
Oh, yes, I suppose so.
But yeah, we're doing the Peacemaker TV show, the only TV show on our list. It's like 7 episodes? Something like that?
Yeah, uh-huh.
So that'll be interesting.
It will be interesting. It's going to be more of a commitment than a film, because we'll need to actually sit down and watch it all.
Yes. I'm sure we'll manage.
Yes, somehow we will do it.
But anyway, thank you very much for listening. Nathan, where can the people find you?
The people can find me at Nathan Tinney on Twitter, Threads, Instagram, Hive, Blue Sky, Mastodon, at Nathan Tinney everywhere. You'll see me running around in Kyle's comment sections as well from time to time on YouTube. And also I run the at Enter the DCEU Twitter account for this show. Kyle, where can they find you online?
And speaking of my comment section, you can of course find that at Kyle the Scott on YouTube as well as the actual videos. But if you just want to look for the comments for Nathan's comments, that's fine too. View's a view, right?
I have some great stuff to say.
Absolutely. And thank you so much, and we will see you next time for Peacemaker.